How is it going, everybody? It is myself, Heather Kusiba here with Windermere Real Estate in the greater Seattle area. And then we have my dear friend Cassie Webb over with Elevate Real Estate in the Mississippi Gulf Coast. We have kind of been gone for a few weeks because we've both been having vacations. We've both been having stuff going on. And so this is going to be a kind of really fun episode, I think, just kind of packing a few things in to kind of catch up. And I'm looking forward to it. But first and foremost, Cassie, you went on vacation since we last met. And I am really curious to hear how it went. I heard a couple of stories, but curious to hear more.
So it was interesting. If you missed our last episode, we talked about I was about to go on vacation and spent really it takes about 2 months of prep work to get all the ducks in a row, everybody updated on everything, start transitioning things to the team and making sure everybody's taken care of. So did that, and then we started heading to our vacation in the Florida area. And as we were heading there, a hurricane developed, and we were like, I've lived around hurricanes and hurricane-prone areas forever, and so they don't always do what you expect. So I was like, hey, let's keep on going, and so we did. And lo and behold, the day we were going to, the first day we woke up, we're on vacation. We were under a mandatory evacuation. So we ended up evacuating during vacation and couldn't come home because the path the hurricane was kind of come up the coast and then over. And so anyway, and then we were actually going there to see a concert, which we caught at home. Like the day we got back. So it was definitely an adventure. So and unfortunately it looks like they're gonna get the area was definitely impacted to some degree, but they're back in the path of a hurricane. So that's one of the less fun things that we have to deal with. But we'll talk in a minute about the fun things. I do want to give a huge shout out though to my team because it was seamless. Everybody was taken care of when I got back. Everything was so smooth. It took me like Monday when I left, I was pretty much back in the swing of things and caught up, which was mind blowing. So really, really big shout out to my team for making that happen. So and then we're going to talk about fun things now, not hurricanes in the fall. So, Heather, why don't you start off? Even though I hate to do that because y'all always have such like mind-blowingly amazing things that it's hard to follow. But let's hear what y'all got going on.
Well, the funny thing is we have a lot of really cool things in the greater Seattle area during fall, but we don't have like any oh my God, amazing and unique events like we do during some other times a year. But for an idea, it's kind of is like an overall thing. So we have like little events like our local orchestra puts on at Benaroya Hall. We have actually a few haunted areas. The biggest reason for that is back during I don't even remember the years, but we were a massive mining community in our mountains. And then it was literally just like one day, everything ran out and all of the mining towns were just abandoned within a year. And so all of these old mining towns are now like, you can't even reach them by road. They're only reachable by hike and stuff like that. So those areas are popular all year round for hiking, but of course, more popular during October because of Halloween and the haunted aspect of them. So we have a lot of those around here within a few-hour drive for the hiking, which, another side note, for those of you who are not from the West Coast, a few hours actually isn't bad. While on the East Coast, a few hours, you're in a different state, maybe 2 states over. So there's that. Yeah, so we have tons of haunted opportunities. Also, a lot of hikes become really popular this time of year because of the trees changing. It's not quite as drastic as you see on the East Coast with their fall foliage, but it's still very, very pretty. It's a very different scene. And then, of course, we still have Oktoberfest going on, carrying on over from September. We have different Dia de los Muertos festivals and events. We do have a couple of really big you pick apple picking orchards around here, which is really fun. I have not done one yet. I hope to do one maybe this year because I hear a lot of just fun things about doing that. And of course, pumpkin patches and things like that. So that's really the overview. Another thing is a lot of our super touristy areas, like let's say Leavenworth, for example, is a very popular Bavarian themed town in the mountains. And places like that are also really popular to visit, mostly for locals this time of year, because you don't have the massive tourist crowds, but you also aren't like the massive tourist summer crowds, but you also don't have the massive tourist snowy crowds either, because they're crazy busy both times. But yeah, and of course corn mazes and stuff like that. But that's pretty much most of it. Is you have the fall foliage. I can't talk today. You know, the fall foliage. You have the haunted aspects, and then you have the like the apple and pumpkin stuff. So, but yeah, that's honestly about it for here. Oh, and then we have the Seattle Underground. So for those that don't know, current day Seattle is actually built on top of what is considered like old Seattle. And so there are extensive, like, holy crap, extensive amounts of underground passages underneath Seattle City. And so they are known to potentially be haunted, but like if you're walking around downtown Seattle, especially in like the Pioneer Square area, you'll see like little glass pieces on the ground, and those glass pieces are usually lights that go down and can be seen from underneath within the walking paths of the old Seattle. So those get really popular during this time as well.
Yeah, I did not know that. You know, I was thinking we should do maybe sometime soon for like, but for whatever the next season would be, do an episode like if you were going to be kind of like not with them, but be like a tour guide. Like, hey,
Yeah.
you're coming to Seattle for a week. Like,
Yeah.
where should you go in the, you know, just say like beginning of the year-ish, you know, or whatever your next, like when people would want to visit kind of a thing. So I think that would be super cool. So
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun. I would love to do that.
yeah, absolutely. So, because I'm just thinking, like, there's always so many cool things. I'm like, all right, but if I come in a few months, like, what should I do? Because it just seems like there's so much to do.
Yeah, exactly. It's we had that discussion, my husband and I, during our trip to Scandinavia. Is like, I want to play tourist in my own state more, in my own city, because there's just a lot of things that, you know, you learn so much when you travel. You're like, oh, let's go on history tours, let's do this, let's see this, let's like look at the best rated things to do in the area, but you don't often do that in your own town. So that would definitely be cool.
Yeah, maybe even somewhere like drivable to where you are, you know, like it's like a few hours away or whatever. So yeah, you don't have to, as we found out last week, you don't have to fly to Scandinavia to have a good time. So yeah, so we actually right now this week are in our top event of the year, which is Cruising the Coast. So it's basically from the first weekend to the second weekend. So the full weekend, the full week, and then the full weekend, and then Sunday everybody's pretty much, you know, heading home. But we have classic cars from all over the country. We have, I think, usually over 10,000, about 10,000 cars that are registered. So you can drive down Highway 90 down the beach and see some really cool stuff or kind of walk around. You do have to be mindful of traffic, of course, because it's going to take you a little while to get some different places. So, and then we've got a lot of little, like you were saying, pumpkin patches, fall festivals, pub crawls. We've got some little parades and things like that. And so lots of fun things. There's always something to do this time of year. I've actually got a kids eat and play free or mostly free Facebook page that has over 10,000 members. And we post always. There's just a gajillion things to do. So, I just saw this, the CB base, which is our naval base here. It looks like it's having a festival this year. So that's interesting. But anyway, and then kind of it ends with in November, we're having a big foam fall festival. That should be fun. I think they had last year, like, I want to say like 3,000 people. And maybe even bigger this year. But it's like, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it's like a huge community foam party. It's very cool.
I've never been. I want to go. I haven't been to a foam party since like frat parties in college. Many years ago.
I have never been to a foam party. We do have a foam 5K, I think. We've got a run that's like a foam run, but
fun.
And then it kind of ends with we end the fall season, I guess, with the Peter Anderson Festival. So it's in downtown Ocean Springs. Ocean Springs has a great little downtown area, and they close off all the streets, and there's all kinds of local vendors and arts and crafts, and I don't see if it even says. Anyway, it's a massive event. Doesn't say how many people attend, but it pretty much shuts down the town for that weekend. So and that's a full weekend as well. And then it gets a little quiet until we start kind of running into the Christmas stuff and things like that. But there's always there'll be like tons of pumpkin patches and little fall festivals with the different, farms and churches and different things like that. So yeah, that is what we got going on.
Cool.
So last but not least, let's do some quick stats. Yeah, I'm excited. Actually, I glanced at them, but I haven't really dug into ours. I know we're holding pretty steady, so there's not probably going to be any earth-shattering news. But tell me how things are looking over there.
Sure. Let me pull up mine real quick. I accidentally exited out of my screen. All right. So ours are, we're seeing some shifts, which has been really interesting, but nothing too crazy. Our typical months of inventory honestly hasn't shifted terribly much year over year. It's going down a little bit, but not too much, as we're kind of seeing interest rates fluctuate a little bit. But even with our higher interest rates, like, we're still seeing really good appreciation year over year. Like, despite the end of last year and the first majority of this year with interest rates being so high, we still saw about $100 in equity, which is just insane to me. But with that, what's also interesting is that our multiple offers have been steadily going down, which is pretty typical going into September. But at the same time, it's been going down for months, which has been really interesting, because I don't know if you guys remember, but like 3 or 4 months ago, it was at like 45% was multiple offers, and now it's 35%. And that's just an assumption because of the fact that it's going over list price. But it's going over list price at a median of 5%. So things, we're still seeing some competition, but it's really in pockets. And it's interesting because I haven't been in the business terribly long. It's been 4-ish years now. But even then, like, we saw a lot of ebbs and flows because of during COVID and after COVID, and everything kind of moved together more or less. But right now it's very pocket dependent, very neighborhood dependent. Like, you'll see one area where things are going multiple offers. You have 100 showings in a weekend. Like, it is insanely busy. And then literally the neighborhood right next door is radio silence for like 2 months before they get an offer under list price. It's so strange, like, seeing that kind of a shift for me, being, experiencing the market at the time that I have. But yeah, aside from that, those are my biggest takeaways, honestly, is that we still have a pretty high chance of selling every year, or selling our listings and everything. So, yeah.
Do you think that potentially, if there's like a price of the active listings, like, do you think potentially that there's less are going over asking price because people have shifted their pricing up to, adjust? In other words, are they going for less of them going for over asking because people are pricing them higher to start with?
We are seeing a little bit of that. I would say we're seeing less of that now than we were when the market first started shifting, because we were seeing a lot of agents who weren't quite agents and sellers, really.
Looks like Heather has a little bit of technical difficulties. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into my market stats. And so we are at just under 4 months of inventory. So we are still in a seller's market. However, we are still shifting our way to a balanced market. Oh, there you are, Heather. I was like, hey, we could, sorry, I think there we go.
Oh yeah, you're good. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. It just kicked me out.
It's okay. I was like, I'm just gonna jump into it. So, but our list to sold price is a little bit lower, but still really strong. And then our days on the market, I did think that was interesting, went up 60%. So, if we've got more days on the market, our inventory is creeping. Well, it crept down a little bit, but overall it's been shifting upwards. So we would expect to see prices kind of dipping a little bit, but you'll see they're actually up a little bit, which for September is a little bit surprising, although that's kind of the end of our kind of summer season. But and then let's see, our estimated value, new listing. So our list price is definitely just continues to creep up. So we're at 275. And let's see, active listings, median list price. So I always think this is interesting. So our new listings are 275, but all of our active listings are 295. So we are starting to see, a little bit of a dip in price, but then they're actually selling for a little bit more. So, which is pretty common, because when you price it competitively, it can, it makes that those prices stay strong. So, pending right now is 267. Let's see, pending listings 257. So overall, we're staying pretty steady. Our pending list price, now that doesn't mean it's what it's going to sell for, dipped a little bit last month by like 1%, so nothing substantial. And then our median sold price was 263.5. So I think that overall we're really kind of staying pretty steady. We've got our month supply has been, kind of riding around the same thing for quite a few months. I think that where we were kind of headed was looking like that the prices were really going to start adjusting downwards. But when the Feds cut the interest rate, which doesn't directly necessarily correlate with mortgage interest rates, but it definitely brought a lot of attention, and rates have come down from where they were, although we do expect them to continue to go down. But remember, when interest rates go down, prices go up. So I think right now is really a sweet spot. There's some, buy downs and promotional financing going on. So I think that it's a really good time. I think that while the prices were probably about to potentially take a decline, the activity around the interest rates kind of saved us. And then I think what's going to happen is those interest rates are predicted to continue trending downward, and then prices are going to continue trending upwards. So if you're thinking about buying, I definitely would have a conversation about that. And then if you're thinking about selling, I mean, we still have a really strong seller's market because there's not all that competition yet. Another thing, when the interest rates go down, a lot more people will be ready to let go of their houses for whatever reason. So you're going to have, I say for whatever reason, like they were holding off on moving, but as they come down enough, people will start moving again, and you're going to have more competition. So I think if you're considering a move, it's definitely worth a conversation either way right now. So
yeah, I agree with that.
So next week we're going to talk about we're going to stick with our little October theme and talk about some fun and scary home features. So that should be fun. And yeah, we look forward to seeing you guys then.
Awesome.
Anything you want to add there? Nope.
Say again?
Anything you want to add?
Not really. I don't think. I think you caught most of maybe the information I was sharing earlier. So
yes. I think we missed a tiny piece, but I'd be interested to see how that trends as we move into the fall for sure. So
same, yeah, especially with all this interest rate talk.
Almost time for our annual predictions, and we can do a little replay of our predictions and how they panned out, soon. So that'll be exciting. So
that will be. Yeah.
We'll see you guys next week, same time, same place.
Awesome.